Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where entrepreneurs and professionals publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. We're doing a series of business spotlights on remarkable people, places, and things from across the country and even in your town. Joining me on this segment, we're going to be talking about fiction books for a change. My guest is Janeen Ippolito. I hope I pronounced that well. She's the fearless fiction book strategist. Janeen, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super psyched to be here.
Did I pronounce Ippolito correctly? Correct me if I was wrong.
You did. You totally nailed it. So good job on that. It's a 50-50 chance there.
Awesome. So I know that right off the top, there's some misconceptions. If you say fearless fiction book strategist, they think that that's a certain type of fiction, but you help all fiction authors. Can you please explain fearless fiction book strategy and the types of folks that you help?
Okay, so the whole concept of fearless fiction book strategy is I found that with fiction authors in particular, there was a lot of fear actually regarding the marketing side of things. A lot of fiction authors are very creative oriented. They're often very much in their heads. They can be a little bit neurotic, and I confess to that myself. And the idea of the marketing side, the business side, can be really intimidating to them. They don't really have that sort of crazy driven business mindset that a lot of nonfiction authors come in because they created the book as part of their business. So what I do is I come in and help them to refine their words through editing, but also through coaching so that they can start marketing their fiction books fearlessly without stress, without anxiety, and then also without burning out, because the marketing side of things very easily burns out your average introverted fiction author who really just wants to sit there with their characters all day.
So I imagine when people first set out to write a book, because I'm thinking to myself, like before I even got into business to do nonfiction books, always, growing up, oh, I'm going to write a science fiction book. They probably want to write a book and not really considering the marketing or the business of the book. Is that what you find?
I do. And what I found as I went on was that a lot of authors would go into it saying, well, it's just my passion. It's, this is just my side project. This is just, something that I'm doing, not very seriously. But then they kind of get sheepish when they get to the marketing and say, wait, no one's reviewing it. No one's buying this. I think I care more about this than I thought I did, but I'm not really sure where to go with that because I didn't plan on taking this that seriously. I didn't plan on caring that much that people enjoyed my stories. Again, that whole idea of, well, this is just playing around for me. This is my silly story. And they realize, wait, I actually want to make money with this. I would like to really see this change people's lives. And so that's a lot of the times where I come in and say, it's okay. It's not too late. You don't have to give up everything. You didn't ruin your chances by, deciding halfway you wanted to do this more seriously. We can still make this book successful according to what you want.
Are you working with a lot of beginner, like aspiring authors, fiction authors, or established ones, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. The particular kind of author I work with is, first of all, really ambitious or gutsy. So they want to make this work because there is a category of fiction authors who are really just doing it for the fun. They really don't care, and that's great. But I'm working with the authors who kind of stick out and say, I want to actually make this big. I want to be seen. I want to show up. And then I'm also working with authors who do a lot of things at once. So they tend to wear a lot of hats. They tend to be very overwhelmed, and they tend to pile way too many things on their plates. And then they get really burned out from doing too much instead of doing just certain things very effectively.
This might be a big question, but for beginners, like aspiring folks that want to get into business and they want to get a sneak peek at what it looks like, why do people come in? Do they want to be the next Stephen King, or what do they aspire to do? But what does the business really look like if you want to be successful as a fiction author?
Okay, so to really be successful, you have to know what your goals are, actually. And that's the first thing I ask. There are a lot of different ways to achieve different kinds of success, whether you want monetary success, so you want to hit a certain revenue, whether you want message success, where you want to be able to give your books away, but you want a lot of people to read them. And I have one or two authors I've worked with in the past that they're like, I care more about the message than I do about the money. But the thing is, you can try to give a book away for free and still no one will pick it up if you don't have the right marketing. So A lot of it is actually going to the start and saying, okay, what do you want to achieve with this? What do you want to accomplish beyond just finishing that book, and helping them to think bigger?
Wow. So, what are some of the misconceptions that you hear out there that people think when it comes to writing a fiction book? I'd love to hear like some of the crazy things that you might hear people think about fiction.
Well, the first thing is they think that there's two branches. There's the side that says that you have to just kind of let it be free and flow with the moment, and then the side that says um, you have to be very rigid and structured. And the thing is, both are true. So I think one of the biggest issues I see with the whole industry is that there is too much rigidity. You're dealing with the creative mind, and my goal is just to help people get their books written and marketed. I know a lot of different methods, and we try different things depending on the author to get them to get their book done and get it out to readers. And that flexibility is something that really sets me apart, because a lot of people tend to ascribe to certain specific rules or specific formulas or et cetera that may not work for every author and will not work for every author. And that's okay.
So, now to publish versus self publish or to get published, what do a lot of fiction writers want to do? And do they hold out for a publishing deal, or what's the vision there?
Again, it really depends on what they want. There's some authors who, have the vision to get into one of the big five publishing companies, or even one of like the smaller mid-range publishing companies, um, but they don't realize that you still have to do a lot of your own marketing. Publishing itself is sort of a different business, and these days publishers are operating on very small margins. So a lot of authors still have to do things themselves, and so again, it really depends on what the author's goals are and what they want to do with it. It's really popular these days to go indie, but you have to do it the right way, or you're going to ruin your reputation when you go online by low quality. Can you fix that? I mean, clients hire me all the time to help them rebrand and fix that, but it takes money and it takes time. Um, so really, it again matters that you have to know what you're going for and be resilient enough to get there, and make sure that you're still taking care of yourself. And that's where the burnout part comes in, where I say, okay, we're going to get you on a plan to do less more effectively, so that you make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Because if you're going to be burned out and have health issues through this, that's not going to be very, very successful, or give you a lot of longevity in your business.
So it sounds like you're not against self-publishing for the right person if they really take care of their quality control and do it correctly. How does that affect? Because I'm thinking about like in my history in the music business, how does self-publishing independently in the beginning, does that help or hurt your chances of getting signed by a big publisher or getting picked up later? Because in the music business, it doesn't hurt. It helps if you're self-published, because let's face it, a record label wants to find successful artists that are already selling and help them do better. How does that work in the book business?
It's getting to that place. It's running a bit behind simply because all of the different stages that go into writing and composing and publishing a really high quality book take a lot of time and a lot of steps, even more so than, dare I say, a song. Just because the book is much longer, words are very squishy to work with. Finding the right cover designers takes time. So the overall quality of indie publishing has gone up tremendously, and many people are choosing to go indie rather than do publishing houses. I also do run a small publishing house on the side, and I have a very open mindset, and a couple of authors we've acquired because of their indie success. And so I would say personally, I look for indie success, and I look for people who can be self-starters and self-motivated. Um, some publishing companies are still being a little bit skittish about that, but that's a lot more rare these days, as they see that those self-motivated authors really do help sell books better, and that's what they want to do.
That's very fascinating to use your words. They're a little bit behind still, because it's interesting because yeah, the record, they could learn a lot from the record industry, because that's exactly what they're looking for. Motivated people that are going to go out and promote their music is like what these big labels are looking for as well.
Yeah.
So Janine, tell us a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to be the fearless fiction book strategist, and how did you get started in writing and publishing yourself?
Well, I got started in the industry about 11 years ago. And 11 years ago, to show you how much the industry's changed, 11 years ago, I wasn't even thinking self-publishing because the quality was still so low and I had pretty high standards. So I was thinking very much while I worked my day job as a teacher, to make myself as attractive to regular publishers, polish my craft, and try to get into a regular publishing house. What I discovered once I got to a certain point with a small press that I really liked and I thought would be a good stepping stone is that I actually didn't like the genre I was writing in as much as I thought I did. And I was having a difficult time motivating myself to keep going. And that's where I kind of took this side journey where I was trying to figure out, okay, how does motivation factor into publishing and creating? And why is that sometimes ignored if you're a serious fiction author? Why is it that you have to shove that aside to sort of make it big? Can't we find a middle ground here? And so as I started getting more involved in the coaching side and taking my teaching experience and what I use in the classroom with students and with coaching clients on the side, the coaching side and the business side took over. And so I stepped back and started doing that full time while I was self-publishing my own books just to experiment with them and to make the mistakes myself so I could help others to do it better. And through all of that, I had people who noticed what I was doing and said, hey, do you want to start a small publishing company? To which I said no at first, because it's a very risky endeavor. And I had enough business experience to know that I wasn't sure about that risk. But I prayed about it and all the pieces fell into place. And so 5 years ago, I started a publishing house as well. So now I run that and I write my own books and I work with many clients and help them get into publishing houses and help them to get contracts. So it's a pretty busy life.
So what does your coaching business look like? Are you helping people virtually or in person, or how does that look?
Oh, it's always been virtually for me. So with like the recent sense of, oh, everyone's going online, I'm like, welcome, I've already been here the whole time.
I'd imagine, because your authors are like all over the world.
Oh yeah, my first client that I had was in Japan. So that was always interesting figuring things out. But yeah, I do it online and I do prefer the video face-to-face coaching, which makes me a little bit different as well. Again, a lot of authors like to hide behind their computer screens and over text and such, but I guess it's my teaching background. I like to see someone face-to-face. I like to be able to read their facial expressions and really, work with them more personally.
Absolutely. So Janeen, for our listeners out there that can resonate with your message and they're aspiring or they're really ambitious fiction writers and would like to connect with you, how do they find you and connect?
The best way is actually to go to Google and type in Janeen Ippolito. That first page has my website. It has all of my social media accounts right there. I own Google, so yay for SEO. So just go there and start clicking around and see if we can connect. I'm available on most platforms, and I'm not opposed to like someone just sending me a message as long as they understand that I have a life. So I may not get to it right away. And I'd love to work with people either podcasting or working on them one-on-one or networking or etc.
And that's Janeen, Janeen. What happens do you also own it if they spell it the other way, Janeen?
I am getting around to that. I'm pretty busy, so I need to go through and do some more domain shopping. But yeah, JANEENIPPOLITO. If you just pop that into Google, I'm all over the front page, and you can connect with me on any platform that you choose.
That's terrific. Janeen, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing and teaching me about the fiction book business. I really appreciate that. And I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you so much. It was great chatting about it.
This segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where entrepreneurs and professionals publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. Thanks for joining me. I'm Mark Imperial. Take care.